Welcome to the tutorial on mastering the Ellipse tool and the Polygon tools in CorelDRAW. Under the Ellipse tool group, we have the 3-point ellipse tool. And under the Polygon tool group, we have the Polygon tool with all its extended shapes, the star tool, the complex star tool, the graph paper tool, and the spiral tool. We will be covering all of them in this tutorial. In the toolbox bar, click on this icon for the ellipse tool to select it. Or, press the keyboard shortcut F7 to select it. These three icons, up in the properties bar, offer you the choice to draw an ellipse, or a circle, a pie shape, or an arc. The first icon is, if you wish to draw an ellipse, or a circle. Next is the icon, if you wish to draw a pie shape. The one after is, if you wish to draw an arc. The group of fields to the right of these icons allow you to set the starting and ending angles for pie shapes and arcs. The icon next, to the right of these fields, is to set or change the direction of the object you draw. From clockwise to counterclockwise and vice versa. You would click on this icon to make it active and draw clockwise. It is only available for selection when drawing with the pie shape tool or the arc tool. From the options panel, you can change the default properties to draw new objects in a particular shape. To do that, press Ctrl-J, Command-J on the Mac to open the options panel. Click on this triangle next to Workspace to open the drop-down menu. Scroll down and click on the triangle next to Toolbox. Scroll down and click on Ellipse Tool. The property values for the Ellipse tool are displayed on the right side of this window. First, you have the choice to select between ellipse, pie, and arc to set as your default shape setting. Below this, you can set the default values for the starting and ending angles for the new pie shape and arc objects. Then, you can select if you wish the new pie shape or arc objects to be drawn in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction. When you click on the radio dial next to ellipse, the starting and ending angles are, understandably, set to the same value. This is because the start and end points overlap to close and complete the ellipse or circle curve. And so, the choice for the direction of the arc is grayed out. I will click on the radio dial next to pi to set it as my default shape. Set my starting angle to 0 degrees and the ending angle to 270 degrees. Then, I will click on the radio dial next to counterclockwise to make that my default setting. Click OK to accept these settings. Make sure that the ellipse tool in the toolbox bar is selected. To draw an ellipse, click on the icon for ellipse up in the properties bar to make it active. Then, left-click and hold at the intended start point and drag the mouse to draw an ellipse. Release the mouse button when you get the size and shape of the ellipse you are wanting to draw. If you wish to draw a circle, then left-click and hold the mouse button. Press and hold the Control key, Command key on the Mac, and drag the mouse to draw the circle. Release the mouse button and then the Control key when done. Click on a blank spot on the canvas to deselect this object. To draw an ellipse from the center outwards, left-click and hold the mouse button, press and hold the Shift key, and drag the mouse outwards, away from the center, to draw the ellipse. Release the mouse button, and then the Shift key. Click on a blank spot on the canvas to deselect this object. To draw a circle from the center outwards, left-click and hold the mouse button, press and hold the Shift key, and the Control key, Command key on the Mac, and drag the mouse outwards, away from the center, to draw the circle. Release the mouse button, and then the keyboard keys, when done. Click on a blank spot on the canvas to deselect this object. To draw a pie shape, click on the pie icon, up in the properties bar, to make it active. Left-click and hold the mouse button at the intended start point and drag the mouse to draw a pie shape. Release the mouse button when done. If the pie shape you intend to draw needs to be perfectly circular, left-click and hold the mouse button. Then press and hold the Control key, Command key on the Mac, and drag the mouse to draw the pie shape. Release the mouse button and then the Control key. Click on a blank spot on the canvas to deselect this object. Similarly, to draw an arc, start by clicking on the icon for the arc up in the Properties bar. Left-click and hold the mouse button and drag the mouse to draw an arc. If you wish to make it perfectly circular, left-click and hold the mouse button, then press and hold the Control key, Command key on the Mac, and drag the mouse to draw a perfectly circular arc. Release the mouse button and then the Control key. Click on a blank spot on the canvas to deselect this object. To draw a pie shape or an arc, from the center out, left-click and hold the mouse button, press and hold the Shift key, and drag the mouse to draw a pie shape or arc. Release the mouse button and then the Shift key. Click on a blank spot on the canvas to deselect this object. If you have already drawn an object, you can easily convert its shape to one of the other two shape options. Click on the ellipse icon from the Properties bar to make it active and draw an ellipse. Now, to change its shape from an ellipse to a pie shape or an arc, simply click on the respective icons from the Properties bar. You can also use the Shape tool and move the nodes to convert from one shape to another. Using the Shape tool, click on the object you wish to change the shape of. In my case, it is an ellipse. Because in an ellipse, the start and end points sit on top of each other to close the curve, you will see only one node. In my case, both values for the start and end points of the ellipse up in the Properties bar show 90 degrees. Thus, this node is on the middle of the top arc of the ellipse. If I click in these fields and change the values to, let's say, 60 degrees, you will see this node shifts to a 60-degree angle on the arc. Now to change the shape of this object, left-click and hold on the node and move the mouse to the right. When you do that, you will see that the overlapping nodes on the start and end points of the ellipse separate. If your cursor, while moving this node, sits on the inside of the arc, you will see two dotted lines forming a V and meeting in the center of the ellipse. This tells you that you are converting your existing shape into a pie shape. Without releasing the mouse button, slide your cursor just slightly outside the arc. You will notice the dotted lines vanish. You are now converting to an arc shape. Release the mouse button to complete the conversion in the shape. A point to note here. Grab the node on the right and move it to the left, crossing over the second node. Release the mouse button at a point to the left of the unselected node. By doing so, you have reversed the direction of the arc or pie. You can also change the direction of a pie shape or arc by clicking on this icon for change direction up in the Properties bar. You can move the nodes on the start and end angles of a pie shape or an arc. Left-click and drag the mouse to draw an arc. The starting angle for my arc shows 0 degrees. And the ending angle shows 270 degrees. 270 degrees is the same as minus 90 degrees. I am going to place my cursor in the starting angle field and type in a value of 45 degrees. Press Tab to move to the ending angle field and type in a value of minus 45 degrees. Minus 45 degrees is the same as 315 degrees. Feel free to enter values of your choice in these fields. Press Tab or the Enter key to complete the changes. Note the shift of both nodes according to the values entered. Now, 3-point Ellipse tool. Just like the 3-point rectangle tool, you can use the 3-point ellipse tool to easily draw objects at an angle. The 3-point ellipse tool helps quickly and easily draw ellipses, pie shapes, and arcs at an angle. Click on the black triangle on the bottom right corner of the ellipse tool icon in the toolbox bar. From the sub-menu that opens, click on this icon for the 3-point ellipse tool. To draw an ellipse using the 3-point ellipse tool, left-click and hold the mouse button at the intended start point. Drag the mouse at an angle of your choice. I am drawing at a 45-degree angle. Release the mouse button when you get the appropriate width for your ellipse and move the mouse to the intended height of the ellipse. Left-click once to complete the ellipse and disengage the cursor from the canvas. If you repeat the same steps with the pie shape icon or the arc icon being active, your end result would accordingly be a pie shape or an arc drawn at an angle. Up in the Properties bar, click on the pie shape icon to make it active. Left-click and hold the mouse button and drag the mouse at an angle. Release the mouse button when you get the desired width. Move the cursor to form a pie shape. Left-click once to complete the pie shape. To draw a polygon. The Polygon tool lets you draw symmetrical polygons and stars. Click on this icon on the toolbox bar or press the Y key on your keyboard to select the Polygon tool. Up in the Properties bar, you will see changes to reflect your selection of the Polygon tool. This field allows you to set the number of sides or the number of points for the polygon you would like to draw. The range for this field is a minimum of 3 sides or points and a maximum of 500 sides or points. Click inside this field and change the value to 5. Press Tab or the Enter key on your keyboard. Left-click and hold the mouse button at the intended start point and drag the mouse to draw your 5-sided polygon. Release the mouse button once you get the required size of the polygon. If you want to draw a perfectly symmetrical polygon, then left-click and hold the mouse button at the intended start point. Press and hold the Control key, Command key on the Mac, and drag the mouse to draw the polygon. Release the mouse button and then the Control key when you get the required size. To draw a polygon from the center outwards, left-click and hold the mouse button at the intended start point. Press and hold down the Shift key and drag the mouse to draw the polygon. Release the mouse button once done. And if you wish to draw a perfectly symmetrical polygon from the center out, then add one more key. Left-click and hold the mouse button at the intended start point. Along with holding down the Shift key, press and hold the Control key, Command key on the Mac, and drag the mouse to draw the polygon. Release the mouse button and then release the Shift key and the Control key. You have a perfectly symmetrical polygon drawn from the center out. With the Polygon tool selected, left-click and draw a polygon. From the Points and Sides field, click on this black triangle that is pointing down to reduce the number of sides to 4. Observe the change in the selected object. Click the downward pointing black triangle one more time and the shape changes to a triangle. Left-click on a blank spot on the canvas to make sure no object is selected. Of course, you can enter the number of sides or points you would like before you start drawing the polygon. Click inside the Points or Sides field and type in a value. I will type 8 and hit Enter. Left-click and hold and drag to draw your polygon with the appropriate number of sides. Left-click on a blank spot on the canvas to make sure no object is selected. From the toolbox bar, click on the Shape tool to select it. Using the Shape tool, click on this newly created polygon. You will see a few nodes pop up along its outline. Left-click on one of these nodes and push it inwards or pull it outwards. You will see the polygon shape change, having sharper and longer points when you pull the node outwards. Release the mouse button to see the change in the shape of this polygon. Once more, left-click and hold on any node on the outer points of this polygon. Move the selected node a little bit in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction, and then release the mouse button. The shape now changes to resemble that of a saw blade. There are almost limitless possibilities to create different shapes and designs by manipulating the nodes on this polygon. Let us have a look at the star tool. There are two types of stars: perfect stars and complex stars. Within the polygon group menu in the toolbox bar, this is the star tool icon. It lets you draw perfect stars. Click on it to select it. From the properties bar, you can use this field for points and sides to choose the number of points you would like for your star. I will type in 5. The field next to it lets you select the sharpness of these points. Let us enter the value of 20 in this field. Now left-click and hold at the intended start point and drag the mouse to draw a star. Release the mouse button once done. Note the shape of the star as well as the level of sharpness of its points. Leave the star selected and up in the sharpness field, change the value to 60 and press enter. Note the change in the sharpness of the points. Similarly, you can change the number of points and see the number of points on this star change accordingly. Here as well, you can manipulate the nodes to alter its shape. Using the Shape tool, left-click and grab one of the nodes and pull it all the way out. Release the mouse button and observe the change in its shape. The 5-point star has now changed to a 5-sided polygon. Now grab a node and push it all the way in. Release the mouse button. Observe the change. Let us have a look at the complex star. This icon in the polygon group is for the complex star. Click on it to select it. From the properties bar, you can change the values in the points and sides field as well as the sharpness field. I have selected to enter 9 in the points or sides field and 2 as the sharpness value. Left-click and hold the mouse button and drag the mouse to draw the complex star. Release the mouse button to complete the drawing. Leave the complex star selected and in the points and sides field, change the value to 11 and the sharpness level to 4. Press Tab or Enter to accept the changes. Notice the change in the shape. Now, using the Shape tool, left-click and grab one of the nodes situated on the outer edge of the complex star. Drag this node out and in to see the way the shape and size of this star changes. Release this node and grab a node from the inner circle. Drag the mouse to move the node outwards. Release the node and note the change in the shape. Grab this node again and push it inwards, moving it across to the opposite side of its initial position. Drag it till it sits in the middle of 2 existing nodes. Release the mouse button and observe the new shape. The purpose of this exercise was to show you the possibilities available to create various design shapes. Let us draw another complex star with 9 points and sharpness of 2. Leave the object selected and switch to the Shape tool. Now, left-click and hold one of the nodes on the inner circle and push it in a little bit. Release the node and switch to the Pick tool. Left-click on a blank spot on the canvas to deselect the object. Draw another complex star with 9 points and sharpness of 2. Leave the object selected and switch to the Shape tool. Now, left-click and hold one of the nodes on the outer circle and pull it out a little bit. Hold at this position and then move it in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction by about 30 degrees. Release the mouse button and switch to the Pick tool. Left-click on a blank spot on the canvas. Then we have the Graph Paper tool. The Graph Paper tool lets you draw a grid, just like the ones on a page of graph paper. Grids are made of a set of rectangles grouped together to form the grid. Hidden behind this black triangle for the polygon group is this icon for the Graph Paper tool. Click on it or press D on your keyboard to select it. Up in the Properties bar, using this field of columns and rows, you can choose the number of columns and rows you would like in your grid. Click in each field and type in the respective values. The top field specifies the number of columns and the bottom field is for the number of rows. I am going to use 8 for the number of columns and will type in 10 in the field below for the number of rows. Press Enter to accept the changes. Now, left-click and hold the mouse button at the intended start point of your grid and drag the mouse diagonally to draw the grid. Release the mouse button once you get the required size. If you wish to draw the grid from the center out, then left-click and hold the mouse button. Press and hold down the Shift key and drag the mouse diagonally. Release the mouse button and the Shift key when you get the required size for the grid. To ungroup a grid, select it using the Pick tool. Click on Object from up in the menu bar. Scroll down to Group. From the sub-menu, click on Ungroup. Or, select the grid with the Pick tool and press Ctrl-U, Command-U on the keyboard to ungroup. Or, you can click on this icon for Ungroup up in the Properties bar. Left-click once on a blank spot on the canvas to deselect the grid. Then left-click and hold on any rectangle and drag to move it out of the grid. To set the default value for the number of columns and rows, open the Options panel by clicking Ctrl-J, Command-J on the Mac. Click on the triangle next to Workspace to open the drop-down menu. Scroll down and click on the triangle next to Toolbox to open that drop-down menu. Scroll down and click on Graph Paper tool. From the right side of the panel, select the Columns field and enter the default value of your choice. Press the Tab key to move the cursor to the Rows field and enter a value of your choice. Press Tab. Now press OK to accept the changes to the default values. The next tool that we have in this group is the Spiral tool. The Spiral tool lets you draw symmetrical and logarithmic spirals. Hidden behind the black triangle of the polygon group, click on this icon for the Spiral tool or press A to select it. Up in the Properties bar, this field gives you the option of selecting the number of spiral revolutions you'd like. Click in this field and enter a value of your choice. I am going to type in 8. You can click on one of these icons up in the Properties bar to choose between drawing a symmetrical spiral or a logarithmic spiral. To draw a symmetrical spiral, click on this icon for the symmetrical spiral to make it active. Left-click and hold the mouse button at the intended start point for your spiral and drag the mouse diagonally to draw the spiral. When you get the desired size, release the mouse button to complete the spiral. If you wanted to draw the spiral from the center out, then left-click and hold at the intended start point. Press and hold down the Shift key and drag the mouse diagonally to draw the spiral. Release the mouse button and then the Shift key to complete the spiral. To draw a logarithmic spiral, click on this icon for Logarithmic Spiral up in the Properties bar to make it active. You will see the field for Spiral Expansion Factor become available. Spiral expansion changes the amount by which the spiral expands as the revolutions move outwards. You can change the spiral expansion factor by moving this slider or click in the field and type in a value. I will type in 50 for my spiral expansion factor. Left-click and hold the mouse button at the intended start point for your spiral and drag the mouse diagonally to draw the spiral. When you get the desired size, release the mouse button to complete the spiral. As you can see, the distance between each revolution increases as the spiral expands outwards. In both of these examples, if you wish to change the number of revolutions, then before drawing the spiral, click in the Spiral Revolutions field and enter the desired number and hit Tab. Now when you draw your spiral, it will have the newly entered number of revolutions. Left-click and hold and drag the mouse diagonally down from the left to the right. Release the mouse button when you get the desired spiral. Note that the spiral revolutions will end at the bottom right corner. Left-click and hold and drag the mouse diagonally down from right to left. Release the mouse button when you get the desired spiral. The spiral revolutions will end at the bottom left corner. Left-click and hold and drag the mouse diagonally up from the left to the right. Release the mouse button when you get the desired spiral. The spiral revolutions will end at the top right corner. Left-click and hold and drag the mouse diagonally up from right to left. Release the mouse button when you get the desired spiral. The spiral revolutions will end at the top left corner. I keep suggesting, in all my tutorials on any of the CorelDRAW tools and features, to spend a lot of time practicing and trying out different things. Simply for the sake of emphasis, I am going to change the number of revolutions to 70. I will click on the symmetrical icon to select it. Now, left-click and hold the mouse button and press and hold the Shift key. Drag the mouse outwards diagonally to draw a spiral. Release the mouse button and then the Shift key to complete the spiral. Now, I'll change the color of the outline for this spiral. You can choose a color of your choice. I will also change the outline width for this spiral to 1.25 mm. Then, I will change the line style to a dash line. We will draw one more spiral. First, I'll change the number of revolutions to 15. Then, left-click and drag to draw a spiral. Leave the spiral selected and switch to the Artistic Media tool. Make sure the brush icon in the Properties bar is active. From the Brush Strokes field, scroll down and click on a brush stroke of your choice. There are so many more possibilities to further change and enhance the look and design of this spiral. But I will leave that for you to experiment and come up with your own creative design variations. To change the default settings for the spiral tool, press Ctrl-J, Command-J on the Mac to open the Options panel. Click on the triangle next to Workspace to open the drop-down menu. Scroll down and click on the triangle next to Toolbox to open that drop-down menu. Scroll down and click on Spiral tool. From the right side of the panel, you can click on one of the radio dials next to the options, Symmetrical or Logarithmic. The next field below allows you to set the default value for the number of revolutions for each new spiral you draw. The field below allows you to set the expansion factor as your default setting. Once done, click OK to accept the changes. That brings us to the end of this tutorial on mastering the Ellipse tool and the Polygon tools in CorelDRAW. Please take your time exploring this tool and get familiar with all its features and capabilities. Next, we will start by learning about the preset shape tools and connectors. To learn about the preset shape tools and connectors, please access the Mastering the Basic, Arrow, Banner, Callout, Flowchart shapes and connectors in CorelDRAW tutorial. Or, click on the link provided below in the description of this video. To access the previously published tutorials, please click on the links provided below for those tutorials in the description of this video.